Welcome to another episode of Wisdom House with Nike. I'm excited to be here with you today. Today I'm going to be talking about empathy in marriage. This is one of the subjects I'm covering under the Wisdom for the Marriage series. The last time I had talked about love, is it enough? So you could go out, the video is out there. Just go out and check that on one of my in the Wisdom House with Nike collections. You'll see it right there. So today I'm talking about empathy. So I'm going to be starting with the question, what is empathy? In a nutshell, empathy is a way that you can try to walk in someone else's shoes. With empathy, you try and put yourself in someone else's shoes. And I'm going to say empathy is very important in marriage. In marriage, you should be giving empathy and also be receiving empathy within your marriage. It's so important. It has to be two ways. You're giving empathy and you're receiving empathy within your marriage. Empathy is one of the fundamental, practices and awareness that we should be having within our marriages. Okay, and that's why I'm teaching on it. In general, I would say empathy is important in general in life, but much more so in marriage. It is fundamental. It is fundamental. I'm a believer that a lot of things can be taught, and that's why I'm taking this time to really teach, teach on how we can really be practicing empathy within our marriage. I'm going to be giving us some steps that we can follow to really send a message to our spouse that we are empathetic, okay? Step one, approximate. Step one, approximate. What does it mean to approximate? To approximate means when your spouse shares with you a situation or something they are going through. To approximate means that you try and imagine yourself in that situation. You try and imagine yourself in that situation. And I'm going to give you some examples to help drive that point right home. For example, when your spouse says that I have a painful period. You've never, as a man, you've never had a period, okay? But she says I have a painful period. How do you approximate? To approximate means for you to think about a time when you had pain, because what she said talking about here is pain. A time when you had pain. It could be a time when you had a toothache. It could be a time when you hit your foot against the wall. That doesn't compare to a painful period, but we are just just using this example to, for the point of the sake of the conversation. Also, when your spouse says, for example, to you, they say, I lost my keys. I can't find my keys anywhere. To approximate is for you to think about a time when you were trying to go out and you lost something. Maybe you lost your shoes, you lost your purse. If your spouse say, in another example, my people leader at work today, they did not give me credit for my work. To approximate is for you to think of a time when you did something and maybe someone did not say thank you to you. Okay, that's what it means to approximate. Now, what is step two? After you have approximated, what's the next thing? The next step is do not parent. Step two, do not parent. Do not try and be parenting your spouse in that time. And by do not parent, in the instance where your spouse is saying, I have a painful period, do not parent is for you to say, you're grown up. If you have a painful period, you should just take something for the pain. Common sense, just take something for the pain. In the instance where they say, I lost my keys, to be parenting is for you to say things like, you should have kept your key where we keep the keys, in the closet where we keep the keys or in the key hook. Why didn't you just put your things there? Why didn't you just keep your keys safe? Okay, in the instance where they talk to you about their boss that was did not give them credit for their work. To parent in that instance is for you to say, why didn't you stand up for yourself? You could stand up for yourself. Friends, when your spouse is expressing a situation, a vulnerability to you, do not parent. Do not try. That is not the time for you to come up with solutions, okay? That is not the time for you to shine. That is not the time for you to shine. So, instead of parenting, what can you be doing instead? What should you be doing instead? That is the time for you to verbalize what you feel they may be going through. So step two is do not parent. Rather, verbalize the vulnerability that you think they're going through. For example, in the painful period example, you can say, Wow, I cannot imagine what it feels to have such pain and be so uncomfortable. In the example, about the missing keys, wow, this must be frustrating for you because it seems like you're running late to work. In the example about the boss that did not give credit for their work, that is the time for you to say, wow, I cannot imagine being in your shoes. That must make you feel so terrible. You must be feeling terrible right now. Someone could say, okay, what if I've never experienced that situation? I cannot even relate with it. I cannot relate with it. What can I do? You can say something like, I cannot imagine what you must be feeling right now. I cannot imagine what you are feeling right now. All right, so we've covered step 1, we've covered step 2. What is the third step? The third step is now for you to offer your service. Offer your service, offer yourself, offer your emotional support, offer your humanity. What does that mean? In the situation, I said you do not parent, you do not try and offer a solution, you offer yourself. You are offering yourself. Where they said, oh, I have a painful period, and that's why you could say, hey, how about I get you a hot water bottle? I cannot imagine how you're feeling. How about I help you get a hot water bottle? How about I help you get a pain remedy? Maybe Tylenol, ibuprofen. How about I do that? Ibuprofen. How about I do that? In the situation where they said, I'm looking for the keys, and you said, oh, it must be frustrating for you to be looking for your keys. To offer your service for you to say, how about I go check the drawers upstairs to see maybe your keys are there? Did you go to the kitchen? How about I help you go check maybe your keys are in the kitchen? Okay, you see, you are offering your service. In the situation where they are saying, oh, my boss was mean to me or was not being nice to me, that's when you say, I cannot imagine what you're going through. Come, let me give you a hug. That must feel so terrible. That's the time when you give your human contact. That's when you touch them and say, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Everything is going to be okay. I'm sorry you're having such a rough time at work. Come, let me give you a hug. Okay? So I've shared these 3 steps with you. And someone might be saying, why do I have to do all of this? When your spouse is sharing their vulnerability to you, when you respond with empathy, you are sending the message that I see you and I am a safe space for you. You can be vulnerable with me, whether it's in something small or it's in something big. You can be vulnerable with me. I am a safe space. So we are taking those steps to send that message. And, with the things I've taught you, I want us, my goal is to shift your mindset, is to shift the way you do things. And in doing so, I do pray that we'll begin to have more, a better, positive, more positive moments in our homes, more positive moments and times in our marriages when we practice these fundamental principles. My goal is that more people will be having more solid homes and more positive experiences in their marriage. So please give me a comment on what you think about the steps I've shared with you on how to demonstrate and show empathy to your spouse. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you.